Hey everyone, I'm here with Ryan Farrell, not related to Will, by the way. He's the JV manager for Josh Turner, who absolutely rocked their recent launch. And I'm going to leave it up to Ryan to share what data he wants to share and all that. But let me just say it was absolutely huge. And I will say, Ryan, this is kind of like the biggest compliment I can give to anyone is, we watch 200-300 launches a year. And this is what we do, right? And this is probably the one launch I'm going to steal the most stuff from. I think about that old Picasso quote. He's like, good artists copy, great artists steal. And I like to think of ourselves as great artists with what we do. So we're going to steal a lot from you guys. So guys, if you're watching live, we do expect a few of you to be watching live right now. And if you have any questions, just tweet them to me at Matt McWilliams2. Don't forget the 2 or you'll get an egg. That's a Twitter joke for those who don't know. So Ryan, welcome, man.
Thanks for having me, man. I'm glad to be here. It's after the amount of effort that we put into the launch, it honestly just feels good to talk about it because I feel like it just still is taking the stress off of our shoulders, even when we talk about it.
That's awesome. And I just realized I told people to tweet me and then I don't even have Twitter open. So might want to do that. Well, let's start with this. I mean, first of all, how'd the launch go? I mean, again, you're free to share as much or as little as you want here, but did it meet, exceed, or possibly even fall short of your guys' expectations?
Yeah, absolutely. So we had really high expectations going in just because we had such great partners on board and we had spent a lot of time working on it. It definitely met, at the very minimum, met our expectations. Like we are very happy with it. I think one of the things is we had goals. We met all of our base goals. So we had stretch goals too, just to be,
heck yeah,
to kind of, incentivize us to push a little harder. And we didn't hit necessarily all of those. And we think we know some reasons that could have got us there. But the main reason I think so, I think we slightly underestimated what it takes to pull off something like this. You know what I mean? So, because we had been preparing for a really long time, but when you watch somebody else's launch, we knew it wouldn't be easy, but it looks fairly easy. It's just so much behind the scenes. It's like a chaos behind the scenes, but everything looks smooth in the front. And I think it just, we weren't quite, we didn't quite understand. I guess we didn't have all of the pieces in place that we could have to help go to make everything smooth. We had a lot of very late nights, and I know that's very normal for launches. We had an issue at one point, and we can talk about it more later. And when we talk about ways we think we can improve, but we did have an issue at certain points where we didn't have enough people that could help in certain situations. So we'd be overly reliant on a few people to really bust ass and stay up late and make everything happen. But in general, back to the original part of the question, we definitely are very, very happy with the way it went. And it's going to be it's really just a huge, it was a huge month for our business in terms of not just revenue, but just relationships we've built. We've gotten a lot of great feedback from people like even, you've just said that you enjoyed the launch. We've got a lot of great feedback. We've built some really good relationships. And more importantly, and probably one of the most valuable things, this is going to sound corny, is that I think everyone on our team is 10 times better of an employee than they were 4 months ago because of this experience that we were putting it in. Because it's not like it wasn't business as usual for us. This was our very first huge launch. We've done a lot of affiliate stuff before. This was our first full on, Jeff Walker style, I guess, if you want to call it, product launch formula launch where, that with huge contests and all these big partners. And there's a lot of firsts involved with this for us. And I think in general, we're a much stronger company coming out of it in terms of just general skill set and critical thinking and fixing problems on the fly type of stuff.
That's an interesting point. I never thought about that, but it's kind of like that shared experience thing. So I think about this, if you're an internet company, you could go to Outward Bound and do ropes courses together, or you could just do a launch. And, there's something to be said for that. I mean, I came from the world of politics 12 years ago. And, there's a stretch where we're working for about 4 weeks. We're working 20 hours a day, 7 days a week. All of our interns were up above the office on air mattresses. We lived in a Candlewood Suites, literally a 2-second walk to it. And we just spent all day at the office. eating Chinese food. You know, we looked like a college dorm essentially at the end of that 4-week stretch, but it was a shared experience. And there's, you know, I remember coming out of that and like the tightness that we had as a group of people, because, you know, yes, there were times we wanted to kill each other, but it was a lot of early mornings, late nights, and just being around each other all day, eating, you know, crappy food.
Yeah.
So
and you,
the launch is
and you,
the same way.
it's just a matter, you've all worked hard, and it's something that you should all be very proud of, that you work together. But it is, I mean, there are nights where we just wanted to stay up and make sure that like redirects were going to go right, even though we knew they were, but like, we just want to, you know, it'd be an issue if they weren't. It's like something as simple as that. And just being able to just hang out. I mean, it wasn't necessarily always in the same place as them, because we're located in St. Louis for the most part, but we are also like a virtual company. So we have like a home base, and then about, I'd say, a third of our employees are elsewhere. But either way, just like talking to each other about the launch, about everything else, and staying up super late and being tired in the morning. But then at the end, it's just like, that was, when you look back on it, it was like, that was very fun. But during it, you're like, oh my gosh, I just need to sleep. And luckily my wife's cool and didn't freak out that I, you know, missed dinner a ton of times and stuff like that. But I completely agree. It really does build like a bond with other people that really go all out for the launch, and it feels good. You know what I mean? It gives you like a purpose, and as long as the people you're working with are competitive, because that's really what drives it. If you're not competitive, if you're the type of person that comes home and says, and someone asks you how your day was and you never have a real answer, you say something stupid like it was there, or like same shit, different day, then it wouldn't be for you. But if you get a team of like competitive people that are really interested in just succeeding in whatever they're doing, launches can be very, very fun, because nobody's like complaining. You know what I mean? Like the whole time, everyone's just excited about anything going well. And when something's going wrong, it goes into full on like repair mode. You know what I mean? Who's ready to fix? So
that's awesome. So, I mean, I never even thought about that, like kind of that shared experience thing, how valuable that would be. But let's talk about some of the good stuff first. Let's talk about what went right. What are some of the things specifically that you guys intended to do, you executed well, and they just plain went right?
Yeah, absolutely. So, well, we started working on the launch, like to be completely honest, like 6 months ago, which is a really long time. But this was also a new program. Like we were legitimately launching something for the very first time. It was completely different from anything that we've done before. Not completely different. Some of the aspects were the same, but everything was created new for this launch. And so we've been working on it for a very long time. And so our goal was, we work very closely with Danny Enney. We work with him on a lot of things. We did very well in his launch last September. And so we worked with him. And so we kind of modeled our launch slightly after his. So one of the things that we wanted to do, just like him, is write a book and have the book be on Amazon. So people had to like get the book, we have like a free window for the book for people to get it. And that went really, really well. I mean, it was, some people were upset that they had to do it from Amazon, and certain countries couldn't necessarily get it, which was a kind of an unknown thing that we didn't, that we weren't expecting to happen. But like that went really well. And the reason I think it went really well and really helped our sales is maybe less people opted in or like actually read the book because they had to get it from Amazon. But the perceived value that it gave is that they are getting something for free. They're not getting some 10-page ebook. They're getting a legitimate book. I mean, it wasn't a huge book. It was like 100 pages. It's more, it's like a quick read type book. But they're getting a huge, like an actual thing. And it gives us value down the road, because not only are we going to get a bunch of reviews for it on Amazon, but people enjoyed it. And one of the biggest things that we realized early on that was going to be big for us is that people were jumping on board. So I guess not people, JV partners, affiliates, whatever you use, whatever word you use for them. We had a lot of people jump on board fairly early, and it gave us the confidence to talk to a bunch of other people and be like, hey, so-and-so, so-and-so, and so-and-so are doing it. Is this something you'd be interested in doing? And it really helped that we had a product that hadn't been, that was slightly different than anyone else's. It's not, there's a lot of people out there that have training on how to sell better. There's a lot of people that have training on like just having the right mindset or this and that, but ours was just specifically generated on a problem that a lot of businesses have, generating more sales appointments. So if you need to do sales appointments, and that was our something that we wanted to focus on, because that's kind of like what we do for our own agency, what we do for our clients, and what we had taught in our other info products previously. And so I think that was a big part of it, is that it was slightly different and people weren't just hitting their list with similar things. But that was probably the biggest success earlier that got us really excited, was getting these big time JV partners on board.
Yeah, and I don't want to skip over that point, but one of the things that you mentioned was it's real easy to offer an ebook download, and we've noticed that difference between offering an ebook download. Hey, my free ebook, and this doesn't matter like if it's 50 pages or 200 pages. That's not the point. But we've noticed a difference. The free ebook download will get more opt-ins and downloads. Getting the Amazon book will get less opt-ins and less downloads, but they end up just about producing the same number of sales. And maybe even the Amazon, I don't know this for sure, but it wouldn't even surprise me if it was more, because again, it's that perceived value. Are you getting something that sells for $10 for free, or are you getting something that's free for free? I mean, there's a big difference. And especially when you're trying to upsell them into a $2,000 course. You don't want there's nothing wrong with them. But I just call them, the freebie hunters. Like they just constantly get stuff for free. And honestly, I don't even know if they ever read 90% of the stuff they get, but they're just constantly looking for that next, like, free download, free thing. I'm like, dude, eventually you got to spend money if you're going to learn anything.
Right. And like, one of the big things about on the same way, and I can't even think of the right word, on the same note, is that since we did have a window for the book to be free, it was going up. So we could say there's a 5-day window for you to get the book for free. That's all Amazon is allowing us to do. Mm-hmm. So we had the 5-day window, and it will cost after that. So there is that sense of urgency of getting it and then reading it, because they see that, like, this is not marketer speak of lying. A lot of people will be like, it's going to go up to $20,000 next week, and then they're running the same promotion again. And so, like, we legitimately could say it will, and we can't do anything about it. You know what I mean? And it is not up to us. So it got people excited. It made them download it right away, and then it made them start reading it. Like, for example, being in this industry, you do see a lot of free information, like some great things. A lot of people do give out free, like, great content. But when I pay for something, I actually do it. And the perfect example is, like, I bought Gary Vaynerchuk's new book. He came to St. Louis and did like a speaks, on the day of his book launch. I bought, and I don't typically just buy big books. I do a lot of, I read blogs, and I have like training programs, and I talk to people, and I'm in, Facebook mastermind groups and stuff. That's how I learn a lot of what I do. But since I paid for this myself, I immediately began reading it, and it's the same idea with that. It's, while they didn't pay for the book, they know they could have. Mm-hmm. And that's what got them reading it. And that's what I think it got us started on a good foot, because a lot of the people jump in, start reading the book, and then we send out the second piece of content. They're much more invested in us, because the beginning of the book is a lot of Josh's story, and then it goes into the process. So when they read, even if they read the first couple chapters, it goes over like the overall theme of the process, and then like who Josh Turner is and why they should give a shit about him. And then when you send out the next piece of content, that was like a blueprint. So like a bird's eye view of the whole system. Not only they're going to get the detailed stuff in the book, and then all of a sudden they get a really easy, digestible piece of content to see the whole thing. That was like the theory behind what we did, at least. And we thought it worked fairly well. Next time we do it, we might change up our PLC too a little bit, but in the grand scheme of things, like, we're not upset at all with how things turned out.
I love that. So just a reminder, if you're watching live and you have any questions, tweet them to me at Matt McWilliams2, and I'll make sure to ask Ryan here. So, we talked a little bit about what went well. The ebook, particularly the being on Amazon part, worked really well. Let's talk about your partners, and again, feel free to share whatever you're comfortable with, whatever they've given you permission to share. What's one thing that a top partner did that went really well that might be one of those kind of surprising things. Like obviously, well, they emailed their list a lot. Yeah.
Yeah.
But what's one thing that a top partner did that was like, wow, that did really well?
Yeah, absolutely. So, well, first of all, you put a live chat on your bonus page.
I was gonna get to that. But
that was super cool. And to everyone, I know, because I got an email. I saw your email about it. You sent out kind of a little, talking about why you did that and why you think it was successful. And I'll just be candid. I'm not going to talk about other people's numbers, but your conversion percentage was, at least 3 times higher than anyone else in terms of sales conversions.
I will share this. I don't remember if I shared this. So I wrote a post about this. It's mattmcwilliams.com/90 minutes. And the significance, it's 90 in the word minutes. And the significance of 90 minutes is that's about the entire time I was on the live chat. And truth be told, I only spent 15 minutes actually live chatting. The live chat shares the logs, and you can see like I started a chat and ended it 2 minutes and 37 seconds later. You add that up, I think it was like 15 minutes and 14 seconds. But I had it on for 90 minutes. And then honestly, I was tired. This is the last day of the launch. I had other stuff to do. I had other stuff to do. Then I got on for like another 30 minutes. And I was just tired, and I went to watch a movie with my wife,
Yeah.
Now I shared the lessons on that, but yeah, that's, I do know the conversion rate of people that I live chatted with was, I think 4 out of 7 bought. And most of them, to be honest, had ridiculous, I think 5 of the 7 had like ridiculous questions. These are not questions that would make me pause about spending $2,000. And then I think a few of them asked, more difficult questions that I actually had to put some thought into. But I won't get too into that. You can read the post. Again, mattmcwilliams.com/90 minutes. But the gist is like, I just made people feel comfortable and they wanted to buy. So let's not talk any more about that. What'd somebody else do?
Okay. Yeah, right on. We had some partner. Well, we had one partner that was legitimately calling up people on their list.
I was hoping you'd say that one.
That's crazy. Like, and crazy in a good way. That's very cool. They reached out to me and said, can you send us all of our, our opt-ins that we've sent you and anybody that has a phone number, and then we'll call you, and we'll call all of those people, and we'll talk to them directly about the program. And I had like a few minute conversation with them and about, kind of what to say. But they had been following the launch very closely, and they were a big time partner. This wasn't, that, which I was very surprised about that. Because to be completely honest, I don't know if I would have necessarily done that. That's
what inspired me to do the live chat. When you put that person did it, and I went, wait a minute, I am not doing that, but I'll put up a little live chat thing. It was the combination of you guys doing the live chat and that email that you sent out. Like if I had not, this is the important, I got to say something. If you're in a JV launch, if you're a JV and you're one of the promotional partners, you actually should read our emails. Like, I know you're busy, but it's like, that gave me a $2,000 idea like that. 15 minutes, I made over $2,000 just from that live chat. And I would not have had that idea had it not been for you sharing that idea. So that's get my little thing in there to make sure you guys read my emails.
Yeah. Their emails are good. I saw the one about the chat and I knew it immediately what it was about. So I read it and I read the blog post. The blog post was great. So seriously, if you haven't read it, you should, because it's fantastic. And it worked really well. And another thing that you mentioned, actually, let me talk about some more partners things. Then I'll jump back to the chat thing of like why we had chat on our site, because that was huge for us. Like that, when we talked about things that went well, I should have started with that. So we can talk. We'll jump back there in a second. We also had a lot of partners running Facebook ads, which is not that unique. Not every partner is going to be willing to do that, depending on the size they are, depending on their budget, if they're willing to eat that money up front. But one thing that I did notice is that we had some partners doing video ads, which was great. And video ads in themselves are not that crazy and unique, but jumping on there and having like this person's face saying, "Hey, I'm promoting this. I'm promoting this event, this program, and here's why." And one of the great things that they did is this person specifically, what they did for their own business was teach people how to do ads better. So they explained why video ads kick ass, and then went and be like, and that's why I'm here. I'm going to tell you about something else that's amazing. They kind of really did a good job of tying it in. It wasn't just like a Josh Turner's the man type of post. It was, so it was like really tied in and really gave value regardless if they bought or not. And it was an ad. And I was like, I thought that was very impressive. And we had a few people that ran video ads and just regular Facebook ads. And I would say the majority of people who did that ended up on our top 20. I think that's a big reason why. It's because if you're running ads, because there's certain days where people buy the most, they buy the most during the webinar period, for our lunch, at least during the webinar period, during the cart open and then cart close. So during those days when people are ready to buy, if you're hitting people with ads, it's usually money well spent. And we noticed that the partners that did that did very, very well.
Just realized I turned my mic off there. That's awesome. So I'm curious, you mentioned let's go back to the live chat thing. You mentioned the live chat, like, this is not really a JV thing, an affiliate thing. Like go read my post and you'll learn how to use it as a JV. But I'm curious for you guys on your sales page, you had a very engaging live chat. Can you tell us like, how that worked? And I actually, you know what, I have a question that you can talk about there. It's from a good one from Craig Smith. By the way, hi Craig. Saw your email from Brian Tracy this morning and it was awesome. So thank you for sending that. And it's doing really well. Okay. And he asked, what live chat software did you guys use? He asked it on Twitter now. So yeah, I mean, just tell us how that worked and what you guys saw in terms of metrics and all that fun stuff.
We use the exact same live chat that you talk about in your blog post. So Live Chat Inc. So we use the exact same chat. And what we did is, because we didn't have necessarily the manpower to run the chat ourselves, it wouldn't, because there was just so much traffic being driven that it would have been hard. So we hired a phone sales team to do that. So they got a cut. So they got a commission of every sale that they sold. So we essentially in Infusionsoft, because we have Infusionsoft for our tracking, we just made a separate product that was that was just a different product name. So it was easy for us to track in the system. And so they would, the chat would pop up and it said, hey, Josh wanted to make sure you got all of your questions answered. I'm here if you need me. I think it was something very simple like that, the message. And it was live people with the real picture on there. It wasn't like an avatar picture. It was the real picture. And then so people would be like, will this work for my business? Is the number one question. That's going to be the number one question, I think, for almost anyone's launch. And so what they would do is they would answer any questions that were quick in the chat. And then the way they would get, I guess, essentially credit for the sale, if we're just gonna be completely transparent, is they would schedule phone calls. So they'd be like, jump on the phone with us, or we jump on the phone at 7:30. They'll have like a time and they'll ask the person's number, and they had that phone calls, and then they would just manually process the order for them, including all of the upsells or anything. Like any upsells or anything else. And they would kind of, and they were trained to talk about, because one of our upsells is for an event we're having in May, and we're not actually making any money off of the sales. It's just a deposit for their spot to make sure if they don't show up, we're not losing money. And so it's essentially just, educated people about the event and asked if they wanted to place their deposit. And it worked really, really well for us. It was a little bit of work up front, getting everyone trained, but the company was very professional. And they did a fantastic job. We'll be sharing all of the people that helped us out with this launch, including you, with our partner site, which people loved like insanely amount. We're gonna be sharing all that information out with all of our partners. So when you get that email, if you want to share any of the resources that we talk about, it'll be sent out just like one of our launch update emails, but it'll have kind of like it's almost like a credits email, like here's all of the people that made this possible. But the sales team, the phone sales team was awesome. We're actually going to be using that moving forward to do chat on our sales page for evergreen webinars. So they'll have like a window of time where they are sitting on this, they have at least one person, depending on how much traffic is being driven to the page, sitting on the sales page, answering questions, getting people on the phone and closing deals. Because there's a lot of people that when you run an evergreen webinar, it may look like a live event, but there's still way less engagement as a normal thing. And people can feel that like coldness of like not getting the help they need. And that's something that we've been wanting to fix for a long time. It's just, sometimes you get too busy and things just, slip through the cracks. So this is a way that we're going to try to fix that, of being more engaging and having them ready to rock, helping people. And they're going to close a lot more. I mean, the amount of commission that they make off of their sales is going to be nothing compared to the amount of money we're going to make closing people that we would have just lost because they didn't get the questions there answered.
Totally. And I don't want to let that go without kind of honing in. One of the lessons there, and you talked about this early on, was, you realize that you just, like you could only do so much yourselves. And so you went out and you said, okay, we want to do this live chat thing. We know, or at least we believe, that it's going to have a positive ROI. So we're going to go out and get help with that. And I write about that in that post. Like I was only on live chat for 90 minutes because I had other stuff to do and I was tired and wanted to watch a movie. And so, if I had it to do all over again, this is one of the things that we're going to work on, is actually training my team to be able to take those so that we can be on live chat, like, from 9 a.m. to, midnight, whatever it is. And I'm paying X amount of dollars for that. But it's like, if they close one sale, I make up for it. Like whatever I paid them for doing that for 15 hours with one commission from you guys, I make up for it. I'm pretty sure they can sell more than one. I mean, I sold 4 in 90 minutes.
And it also, the promoting somebody's launch is, it's a weird thing because most of the time people are going, overboard, that's kind of like the people promoting really hard, and if you have this personalized thing, it just really makes you look good too. Like it sets you up well for after the purchase as well, or even if they don't buy, because at the very minimum, you showed them respect of talking. And, not necessarily that you have to do that or you're disrespecting them, but it's when people appreciate that, even if they don't buy, the fact that, you took the time out, or somebody in your team took the time out of talking to them. And it was really big for us closing sales. And I think it's going to be really big for us in retaining them, like our refund rate is going to be lower, I'd imagine, because they were closed on the phone, with more information. It wasn't purchased on blind faith. They got the answers that they needed, and they might not get everything. It's not like the person works for us. They didn't build the launch out. So they don't, there are some questions they don't know, but they're professionals. They know how to, they know how to, like, if they don't know the answer, they know how to say that without sounding uninformed.
That's the thing about the live chat thing, and then I want to move on, but I feel like the 4 people that I live chatted with, they're going to be better customers for you, because there's a certain amount of skepticism with a $2,000 product online. Like, we're in this industry and we probably hesitate over the buy now button, because there's always that, like, is this a scam? Maybe it's not a scam, but maybe it's just kind of a mediocre course. And maybe it's not going to address my need. And I was able to answer those needs. And one of the things is, I think I mentioned this in the email I sent to you, like 3 of the 4 people that we sold, their specific question was sort of related to something that wasn't necessarily the focus of your course, but that we could talk about in my bonuses. And I'm like, well, then here's why you should do this. Like, no, don't worry. I'll help you with that part. And I think they go into it. They go into this experience. They've now forked over $2,000, and they're going into it with a positive attitude instead of a skeptical attitude. And I mean, this is like simple psychology. When you go into something expecting to get good results, you're infinitely more likely to actually get good results. When you go into it with a pessimist attitude, and then suddenly module 3 isn't exactly what you thought it would be, you go, I knew it. This is garbage. Refund. And so there's value that, and it's in my best interest as somebody who gets paid on, commission, essentially, as a JV partner, to not have people return the course. Like, I want to have no refunds if at all possible. I know that's impractical, but I want to have none. You
want it to be definitely as low as possible, because there are going to be people that buy. They're just, I don't know. Some people just buy. Buy just because somebody told them to.
Serial buyers.
It's just like, so-and-so said this was cool, I'm buying it, and then we'll see, and the we'll see part is that negative attitude you're just talking about coming in, like, we'll see if I get burned again, because and one of the things that we did with this program, and we called it a training and a coaching program. And the reason we did that is we hired 8 advisors in December, I think, and then we had them go through the course, and they're full-time employees, but so everyone that we hired 10. I think we actually have 9 now. I think 1 didn't work out, but either way, everyone in the program has like a dedicated coach. Now, it doesn't mean that it's like they get like a one-on-one coach is the only person they're working with, because that would be crazy. But they get a coach to help them along the way, and that objection of, because a lot of people buy programs and then they never do anything with them because there's nobody to make them do it. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying that makes them a bad person. There's tons of programs that I've bought or Josh has bought and wanted me to go through, and I just haven't because I don't have time. But this is they have this coach to either help them through a roadblock or to gently nudge them to keep going. Like, hey, how are things going, and reaching out to them. And I think it's going to be really huge with our retention as well, because they're going to have somebody there kind of holding them accountable. At the very minimum, making themselves think, are you doing it or not? And like asking them, because then they'll have to, at the very minimum, someone saying, are you actually doing the training? And they have to ask themselves that question, like, well, I can lie to them, or I can tell them the truth and say I haven't done anything, and so that's something that I think is going to be big for our retention. It's the same idea. It's just the human interaction, be able to answer questions, not allowing people to get overly frustrated.
Nice. So I want to leave time we talked about all the good stuff, and I do want to leave time to talk about what I call egos, enormous growth opportunities. But I have a question from, let's see, I asked that one. A question from Brad Richmond asked, what did you find? Okay. I see there's a typo in this. So I was like, what did you find was the best way to motivate your partners in advance of the launch?
Okay, so that's I'm glad that question was answered, because I was thinking about it whenever you were just saying I just kind of thought you were moving towards like, what do you think you could have done better? And I was like, well, there's things that went well that we didn't talk about, and that was one of them. And one of the things, to be completely honest, and I'm not just saying that because I'm talking to you, is having that partner dashboard was huge. People were super excited when we got it. It was for anyone that's watching that doesn't know, we had this partner dashboard that was really, it was just better looking than Infusionsoft's partner dashboard. Referral partner center sucks. It's terrible. Like, people don't like going in there. It's some people get confused, but this is very clean. It looked really nice. And one of the biggest things about motivating our partners, and I'll talk more about motivation through the launch, but prior to the launch, was getting them their email swipe up front. Now, I know a lot of people are apprehensive to do that because they don't want people to send anything early, and you just have to like hammer it in, like, do not send this early, because you're going to look dumb and your link's not going to work. Like, and we didn't have a problem with that, which was great. We didn't really have much of a problem because we gave a kind of like a little bit of a window where it opened a little earlier. We just didn't tell anyone. But nice. Having that, we had partners get really excited that they could sit down with their copywriter or whatever group of people or individual person that's going to be helping with the launch. Yeah. And like go through the launch and figure out, okay, I can see what they're doing here. You know what I mean? Like the way we're positioning it, we're all marketers. We get it. Once you read through somebody's entire email swipe, you should have an idea of like how they're positioning it and the theory behind why they're doing it and why people should care. And I think that was huge. And whenever we sent out the partner site, it got people very, very, very excited. We got a ton of messages like, this is really cool that, people excited to say that, getting all of the swipe up front is like the highlight of any launch they've worked with, just because it's not stressful on them. They're not getting an email on Sunday with Monday's email that they're supposed to send out, and then they have to stay up late on Sunday night or go to work early Monday morning, and then it's just stressful, and the work suffers as a result. So that was one thing. Another thing, like kind of during the launch, because I think that's where the question was asking, I just wanted to bring that up because that was one of the biggest successes of our launch. During the launch, we had a Facebook group, which I don't think you were in because I couldn't tag you in any of the leaderboard updates.
Not on Facebook. That's why.
Oh, okay. Well.
I also churn my own butter, by the way.
Oh man, is that true?
I don't.
I was about to say, you make
I
your own
do.
leather
I do
hats.
only buy Kerrygold Irish grass-fed butter though, but I don't churn it.
The last time I bought nice, expensive butter like that, I guess I didn't look at the expiration date and it expired in like 2 days because I guess nobody was buying it. So
Oh,
I was so bummed when I got because I spent like $7 on it. But well, the
yeah.
but in terms of the Facebook group, the reason I think it was important is because not everyone reads the launch update emails. Because they just, or they'll skip right past any of the copy you have above any of the information that they care about. So they'll skip right to the leaderboard or they'll skip right to something else. So the Facebook group was great in terms of motivation because all of the jump prizes that we did. So for example, if anyone's just curious about what we did for the jump prizes, we did, I think the first one in the opt-ins contest, like if you jumped past somebody, we gave away, they could either get a hoverboard or a drone, like a nice drone with like a GoPro on it. We gave away MacBook Pros, iPad Pros. We kind of went, and then, Amazon gift cards, things like that. And we gave away a lot of stuff, a nice Blue Yeti Pro mic that was a couple $100. Things that we thought either people were either cool, but they're that were very cool and too stupid that you don't want to spend your money on,
Yep.
like a drone or a hoverboard, or something very useful. So that was the thing. It's like things people want but don't want to pay for, or basically that's for both of them. But so that motivated people, as it usually does, jump prizes. But then in the long run, that's not the main motivation. That's just fun. Posting in the Facebook group and getting things competitive and tagging everyone in there in the leaderboards and letting everyone know. And we did this specifically because of a conversation I had with you prior to the launch, honestly, is that we didn't just we put the top 20 leaderboard up there in terms of, first place, here's your name, here's what you're going to win, here's a little blurb. But we also put the rest of anyone who is doing anything significant on there, and tagged them because people, and this is exactly from your mouth, was people like to see their name. And
I copied that from Dale Carnegie circa 1920. How to win friends and influence people.
Okay, exactly. And that's
Yeah.
one of the most influential books ever. So it's true. And that's something that we did, is that people were really excited, even our smaller partners. And I don't mean to say smaller as like a bad thing. It's not, people that, they would get really fired up. And then we made sure that we had jump prizes and other things that they can win. And I think a lot of our success obviously your top partners are going to do well every time. They have massive email lists. They've been doing this for a long time, what have you. But sometimes incentivizing the middle tier and the lower tier, like people in terms of email list size and experience doing this can be a big deal, and getting if you have 30 people make 10 sales, that's huge.
It's huge. It's an army.
Yeah.
And like you said, this is the first time you guys have launched this product. When you're playing the long game, you want to take those. And again, we're not talking about this isn't a ethereal statement. They're smaller in terms of, impact to the overall launch. You have a smaller list. When you treat somebody who's only making 4 sales, when you treat them like they're one of your top people, they remember it and they're loyal forever. There's a reason why I will promote Michael Hyatt's course every year until I die, probably, or until he dies. One of us is going to die first. Statistically, actuarially, it's him. But in all seriousness, until that course stops going, I'm going to promote him because I made my first $588 as an affiliate from him. And so I remember that. I remember how they treated me and how they served me and how they got me excited. And I only sold 11 of his courses or 8 of his courses, at $150 a piece. It wasn't much, but they treated me like I was one of his top 3. And now I am one of his top 10 affiliates. And I think it goes to show you, when you think of the long term, exactly what you guys did with some of the smaller and medium size, they'll remember that. And when you announce your next one, they're like psyched, like sign me up right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, you can even think of it in terms of this. 3 years ago, nobody would have been that excited to have us on a launch. But if we, they'd be happy with us promoting it, but they wouldn't necessarily think much of it. But you never know who people are going to become. Like, our business is significantly larger now. The people that are, and maybe they're like someone who promoted your launch, they got 1 sale, they gave it their all. That person could be just a baller that hasn't had the experience to do it yet. it could be the next, like Jeff Walker or Dan Kennedy or whoever, because those people didn't have a huge email list, a long time ago. It started because that you build momentum, and some businesses grow faster than others, especially in this industry. It's like, I feel like especially building an email list, that first 10,000 people is a thing. It's hard. Like that's really hard. Even your first couple hundred's even harder. But then once you get to a certain point and you can like build these relationships easier because you have like the perceived muscle behind it, your business can explode very, very fast, and you never know who these people are going to be. And I completely agree with what you said about making sure people feel appreciated, because the work they're doing should not mean less to you than somebody who is, just so happens to have better resources at this time. You know what I mean?
Funny thing about people with only 1,000 people on their list right now, a pretty good chunk of them are going to have 10,000 this time next year.
Yeah.
And some of them 3 years from now are going to have 50. They're going to have 50,000 people. And like I said, they remember you. So as we sort of move towards wrapping up, Ryan, I do want to talk about those growth opportunities. Yeah. And I have two specific questions I'd like to get your take on, because I don't like the question like, what went wrong? Well, something broke. Like that's life. Launches happen, right? And inevitably in a launch, they say you can count on two things. You can count on death and taxes. Here's a third thing you can count on. Something's going to go wrong in your launch.
Yeah.
So here's a question for you. What's something you plan to do in your next launch that you didn't do in this one?
Yeah. And I'll even go a step further and tell you exactly what went wrong in this one. Like the question the harder question, because, first off, the launch went great, but we left the launch knowing that we left some things out on the table. We were still very happy. We did $2.85 million in the launch, and that is huge. Like, we're not going to sit here and pretend like that's peanuts at all. That's the biggest that was the biggest 3 weeks of anybody I work with's professional career. You know what I mean? And so I don't want to minimize that. But that being said, there's so many things that even during the launch, when it was too late to really change it, we're like, shit, like we should have done this a little bit differently. But you're already really busy. You can't just flip something, then you got to tell all the affiliates you did it and everything. So one of the first things that went wrong, and it seems silly that we did it looking back, is we took advice on a membership platform that we didn't actually have any experience with when we built this new program. And the program itself, like, I'm not going to name the program because it's well known and people use it, and it's actually not bad, but the way we're used to doing things didn't work. So we usually use Wishlist Member, and we should have used it again. Mainly because we're familiar with it. I don't think if you're going to do a huge launch, you should switch anything that important, because it was hard to learn how to use.
When did you decide to switch? How soon before that?
A few months when we started doing the whole site, but I just assumed things would work a certain way because I didn't have it was dumb on my part to think that, as I just assumed we'd be able to do this. And then when I got in there and they couldn't, it just turned my whole world upside down. Like 2 months before the launch, I figured something out and then something else wouldn't work. And we had an idea of what the site wanted to look like before we even really dove into the membership platform. So we had a designer put parts of the site together. And then the way it worked with our membership program, it just like wasn't a thing. So we had to go back and have them change a bunch of things. This is like weeks before our launch, and it was just a problem. So and it took way more thought than we were hoping. We were hoping the designer would design it, would create the pages, it would look fine, it would work. We're not going to make it overcomplicated. It's a training program. We don't want it to, it's not like ESPN.com, but it still was an issue, for us. And that was one thing, is that we should have. I've talked to a few other people about this, and we should have developed our program around the membership. I've developed the training program, so our product, around the membership platform we're using, because you need to figure out what it's good at and why things would make sense, because then we're testing it a couple days before, and with all of our advisors, we're having them go through all the training like one last time. And if something doesn't work, it made everything else not work. And it was a huge problem and a huge stress prior to the launch. So that's one thing. That I think it really just made my life hell for a while, because I didn't have time, because I was working on launch things, and we did a lot of other things for our own other products in December. So when we hit January, it was like going hard before the launch. So that's one problem. I wanted to make sure I said that. Another thing that we did, we were very happy with our PLC one, which is Josh's book, Booked. It went really well. It got really good reviews. People were very happy with it. The only issue we had with that is that, you know, there are certain countries, I know specifically in Asia and Africa, that Amazon doesn't work for, or they didn't have, not Amazon doesn't work for, they didn't have the option to get it for free. And we weren't expecting that. Another thing that we didn't expect that luckily one of our partners figured out right away was that when you do something that has like country specific links like Amazon, if somebody in the UK clicks the United States link, it's not going to not going to work for them. Yeah. There's I think it was Smart URL is what it was called. And you like dropped in your URL and it gives you all of the country ones, and it like essentially is like a smart link. And then wherever they're at, it clicks it, it takes them to the right page. And then there's a default one, which is just like your Amazon.com/whatever it is. But that was a problem for us initially. Our email support team was getting hammered from people in the UK and Australia and Canada that couldn't get this, couldn't get the book right. And luckily someone else noticed it that was a partner and let us know. And we were able to fix it really quickly. And
so but that was a problem. You weren't using Smart URL initially?
No. We had like 5 hours where we weren't using it, and there was a problem for a lot of people. Yeah. So luckily it got fixed, and we fixed it, and it really didn't do much damage, but that was like our only issue up front. So we were very happy with how PLC 1 went. It was a book offer, and it had a video along with it that kind of, you know, broke down what was in the book and, you know, a little bit about who we are and why people should care again.
That's crazy.
Yeah. We'd never really done anything. We've done things on Amazon, but it wasn't like that where we were sending, you know, tens of thousands of people to a link that, you know, and a portion of them couldn't work for. And then PLC 2. So like everything before Card Open went fairly well. But PLC 2 is one area that we think we can improve on. And what it was a blueprint, like I said, of our whole program. And while we liked the theory of that, after a book, it's not very exciting.
It's kind of a letdown, isn't it?
It's kind of a letdown. And
hey, here's this 100-page book followed by a blueprint.
Yeah. It's a little underwhelming. And then the video, and like, while we thought the idea, like I said earlier, was that, you know, people get the book and then here's kind of like an easier way to digest what you just read. And we also added like another thing to mention, that we also had like a summary that people could read for the book. Since the launch moves quickly, we didn't want everyone to be like, well, I haven't read the book, so I'm not going to care about anything else. So we gave them like a summary as well if they wanted to get the main points. It was like a 4-page thing. But so PLC 2, one thing moving forward, we might figure out a way to make that more compelling so we don't have any lull in the launch, because we did so well for PLC 1, and PLC 2 was great too. It just, we noticed specifically with our ad buying that it was way more expensive to get people to opt in for that than PLC 1 or basically anything else in the launch. So so there's an opportunity there. Now that's one of the problems that we had that I don't really have an answer for, but we are going to be reevaluating that and seeing how we can continuously get people excited throughout the launch. So then but in the long run, it still worked well. So we're fine with it if we didn't change it. Then after we had PLC 3, but we didn't have partners promote that. We had them go straight to the webinar. The webinars were killing it. That was like the highlight. One of the highlights of the launch was when we were doing the webinars. They were going really, really well. We were maxing out on GoToWebinar. We were selling a shitload of programs. It was awesome. And then one problem that we did have, and I was really happy with the way that and there's really nothing we could have fixed about it, but we had a webinar crash on us. And luckily, and this is something, the only reason I bring it up, because this is not like an opportunity for us to fix, because it's not our fault, is that we were very prepared. We had like an email written, like a script basically, that like just the bones of something that was like, we're back up, you know? So just in case that happened, we had, I noticed it was starting to have problems because somebody, you know, texted me that was in the chat and for the webinar, and we had that ready to rock. And as soon as it did hit, because they're like, the webinar, like, we're not getting video and audio keeps going out. I'm worried about it falling apart. So as soon as it went down, we got it back up, and we had sent the email out immediately, and we got like 60% of the people back on. Nice. So it was that was something, and I would continue to do that moving forward, is having that like queued up, maybe as a draft in your email system.
Yep. Big lesson there. We just did a recap with Ray Edwards on his October launch. And one of the lessons that we talked about was having a backup plan, because again, I go back to the thing, like death, taxes, and something's going to go wrong in your launch. Every launch we have worked on, something goes wrong. I think I'm starting to wonder if we're the common denominator there, but I don't think we're true. The common denominator is it's 17 days of like pressure pack stuff. Something is going to break.
Yeah.
GoToWebinar is going to break. Google Hangouts is going to break. Your lead pages is going to break. Your server's going to go down. Like 17 days, you mean to tell me your server's not going to go down for something? Your cart's going to break. Like something's going to happen. So I have a couple questions as we wrap up here, Ryan, specifically about tag, the appointment generator. One is
let me before we move into that, I got one more thing that I think is a very important thing that I wanted to talk about. And is, so like I said, the webinars went really well, and this is probably our biggest takeaway. That's why I wanted to make sure we got to it, and I'll do it fairly quickly. Is we did, the webinars went really well, and they exceeded our expectations significantly. Initially we're like, holy cow, like this could be massive, because cart open is supposed to be a huge day. Cart close is supposed to be a huge day. We're really excited. At this point, we had introduced a payment plan. So everything was a full pay option of $2,000 essentially. And that was blowing our minds that we're getting this many people to pay for it, you know, because it's just a lot of money up front. So we had the webinar sequence, and it was like, we had like an early bird thing where everyone who bought got like a Kindle Fire and some extra bonus stuff. We gave them affiliate links if they wanted to try to sell it to some of their friends, and they could kind of pay for their program. A couple things that came with it that weren't for once we got the cart open, that was after we got past the early bird section. So cart open hits, and we're excited. We're like, this is gonna be a big day. We had the webinars, you know, we email, and then while we did do a lot of sales that day, we were very underwhelmed. Like, it was just like, damn, why didn't this happen? Like, we've heard it happens for people on cart open. And we were just like, what the hell? Like, well, maybe a lot of the partners are waiting, you know, they've been hammering their list for the webinars. Maybe they're waiting for the next day. Even the next day comes, it was even slower. You know, we're like, what is going on here? And then we're like, okay, well, not a big deal. We're introducing the payment plan this afternoon on a blab. You know, we were doing like a Q&A blab. We're going to announce it. Huge announcement. That's the way we positioned it. And then the blab crashed. So like nobody, like the significant amount of people weren't on there. So we did the announcement. We got way less sales on the blab than we expected. And so then the next day we're like, okay, well, the next day we had an email queued up that was going to be like, if you missed the blab last night, here's what we talked about. And we didn't have, and so like, but we were announcing a 6 payment plan. Like, if you can't afford, because $2,000 up front's a lot of money for most people. Even successful people don't like to pay $2,000 up front. Like, and not like even people with a lot of money, I mean. And then, so the next day we were going to announce that, and then and we announced it. And while we got a bump in sales, it wasn't what we expected. So at this point we had 3 disappointing days in a row where we were like, what is going on here? And then things really started picking up, and we did the live cast, and we introduced partner bonuses. And then like cart close was huge for us. We did an outrageous amount of sales. I think we did like 40% of our sales on cart close even. So one thing, the big takeaway from that is, well, where we messed up, we think, is that there was nothing exciting happening on cart open. We had this awesome offer. We had this, you know, a webinar that was really well put together, really well thought out. There's, you know, 9 times people could watch it. And then it was a really good offer. But then on cart close, all we did was take something away. You know, there's nothing added. There's nothing going on. So looking, we were talking about it. I mean, all the excitement had happened. It was like we hit, like, you know, like it's, the best time to purchase was over for people. And then one thing that we talked about doing is, because the reason we didn't introduce the 6 payment plan right away is we wanted to get as many paid in fulls as we could, because it's the only way you can guarantee you get all of your money. You know how it works when people have payment plans, they default, you know, like the longer you have people to pay, the less likely you are to get everything. And, but what we might do next year is introduce the payment plan and not make we try to make a huge deal about the payment plan. Like, holy cow, the payment plan. And it was just, I think it was a little corny. So I think next year we might just introduce the payment plan on cart open. So it's like something new and something exciting, but we might not even make a huge deal about it. Because all of these people, cart open, most of your affiliates email that day, that one day. And if everyone goes to the cart, you know, the sales page, and they're like, well, I don't want to spend $2,000. I'm going to tune out from here on out. It's the first time the offer is promoted besides the webinar. So that's something that we thought about, you know, in making it more accessible to people earlier to keep the momentum going, and then figuring out a way over that weekend period that was slow for us to add more excitement by doing other things besides the blabs and the Q&As and stuff like that.
So. I love it, man. So I do want to give you an opportunity to talk about the appointment generator for just a moment, and just in the form of a couple of questions. And I'm totally going to butcher this name because I think it's Scandinavian, but actually I have two questions from Scandinavians. I think Allison got that part. That was easy. Day, I think it's a silent S, so we'll go with Daymore. Hope I pronounced that right. Do you guys offer do you guys offer the appointment generator as evergreen as well?
That's something that we're gonna be doing down the road. We don't yet. We're still in the process of our main focus now is taking care of our partners and making sure they get what they're owed, and they're comfortable and they don't feel that they're not worried about it. Because the last thing we want people to do is be like, why the hell have they not even talked to me about my money yet? You know what I mean? And so that we're taking care of our partners right now, and we're taking care of our new students, because it's a lot for the advisors to take on. Is we had it was just under 1,300 students join. And so that's a lot of people all at once that are getting welcome calls and, all of that. So we will be doing an evergreen version of this, but we're going to have since there is such a high touch level of this course, we are going to have to really think about how we're going to do it. It's not like they get a link to register and then they're on their own. They're going to have a coach. They're going to have a welcome call. We do all that. So there's a lot to think about in terms of that, but we will have that soon, but we're definitely doing it again next year. So
yeah. When is that?
It is,
but I want you to tell them.
It's the end of February into March. I honestly, off the top of my, I think it's February 20th through March 7th. We honestly just kind of locked it in like a week ago, and I don't remember off the top of my head.
Come on, Ryan. It's like,
I know I'm a disaster.
Get with the program.
I'm going to pull it up.
You're not even going to give me a full year. Gosh, man, I've got so much going on a year from now already on my calendar.
You know what's surprising though is whenever you do plan your launches out, how much you have to think about that too. It's just like, and it's March 20th through February 20th through March 9th. That was close. Of 2017. That's when we have it penciled in to do next year. We have another launch coming up at the end of October through November 9th for, it's probably going to be we're pretty sure it's going to be for a new and improved version of our Linked University LinkedIn training, which should be very, very exciting. It's going to be it's not going to be quite as large as our appointment generator launch. It's going to be ran a little differently. And the only reason I'm saying that is we're intentionally kind of doing that. It's for people that can't necessarily promote the tag launch. If they want to promote both launches a year, we fully don't expect everyone to promote us twice in 1 year for a significant period of time. But if they do, we'll have that option. But we're going to be doing it's just another option for people, for us to have like a highly leveraged like promotional situation. So we have to, and awesome. We're really excited about that. And we're going to be basically restructuring Linked University to be very similar to Tag in terms of having a coach and really being student-centered and not like, okay, cool, we've made training videos of something that we're very good at. Here you go. It's going to be like you have somebody to help you along the way. So that's kind of what we're thinking.
Awesome. So Rick, real quick, look right down here, guys. There's a button to actually sign up for Josh's program. Just click that, sign up, and then Ryan will be sure to let you know if you don't remember those dates. He'll let you know those dates and all about everything else they have going on. So go do that. So last two questions here before we wrap up, because I want to get to these. I think they're both good questions. Ryan Kimball asked, what do you recommend for affiliate software?
In terms of like the tracking and all of that, is that what the question's about?
Yeah, he asked kind of a longer question, but I just summed it up in what do you recommend for affiliate software? So I think we use
Infusionsoft, and it's great. And then the only thing that's different that we use is we did create a custom partner site with Matt, and then we also used for our partner communications, we did Mail Merge. If you're not familiar with that, Google it. It's pretty.
Did you use what I suggested or no?
No, well, we were gonna because actually mail merge is a part of our training in
Okay.
tag, using mail merge to
Cool.
grow your business. So we're familiar with it. I was really concerned with affiliates not getting the emails.
Yeah.
And then
Don't use an email system. No. Like do not send. Don't use MailChimp. This is not a knock on MailChimp or Aweber or any of those. They're great for stuff that's, you have to be canned spam compliant on, but do not use Infusionsoft. Do not use Aweber, MailChimp, any email system to email your affiliates, because they're going to end up in their promo tab and they're probably not going to see them, or they might accidentally unsubscribe.
yeah, or you just type out the link so they can see their full affiliate link, and they right click it, and then you get that long Infusionsoft ugly link that's not going to take people anywhere.
Good point.
Yeah, because today I almost did that. Like I was I did for a launch we're supporting right now. I clicked the link and I right clicked it, and then I pasted it in an email that I was going to send, and I saw it and I was like, oh shit.
Yeah,
and then,
that's a good point.
Yeah.
And for those who don't know, like MailChimp does that too. The actual link that you get in your email when you send through MailChimp is like, us.mailchimp.com/ like 8,000 characters, because it's a tracking link. They're tracking whether or not people click on those links, because at least if you turn on click tracking, I think if you turn that off, that might solve that problem. But that's beside the point. Yeah, just use a mail merge system. Gmail has one. You can send up to like 500 a day. So if you have more than 500 affiliates, like I know you guys do, there's tons of programs. There's easy mail merge for Outlook. It costs like $50 or something. We can actually
mail merge through Gmail, because that's what we used it at 1,500 now. And we weren't even doing it for all of our affiliates. We were just doing it for the ones that like told us they were committed, but I mean, moving forward, we could just do it to everyone and be like, if you don't want these anymore, just holler at me and I'll take you off. But yeah, the mail merge is the way to go. It was super easy. Awesome. And it was efficient, and I think it's more professional too.
So speaking of that, talk about a perfect segue that I had no plans for. This is the other Scandinavian name, I presume. Petra Jorgensen asks, what's the best frequency with which to email your JVs before a launch and during launch? And I'll give you my answer. It's a pretty short one. It's, if you have something to say it. The biggest mistake people make is communicating too little. I have probably I've probably sent, if you count the number of people we've emailed, I've probably sent 250,000 emails to JVs. And I think twice did somebody say, this is too many.
Yeah.
Like the biggest thing you get is like, you haven't emailed me in 5 days. So that's my short answer. What say you?
I mean, I agree, because that's we had basically 2 weeks out of the promotion. We emailed on a more regular basis. But that was, we just separated things out because we wanted to keep having these touches, so people were seeing it was just a reminder. So, we'd like announcing the sales leaderboard prizes, announcing that your swipe is ready, announcing that our partner dashboard is ready. And so really, again, if you have something, I mean, you don't need to just email to say nothing, but you just talk about, there's a lot of aspects to a launch or a JV promotion. So it's, you can talk about anything that you think they should know that they might not have. Because the biggest thing that you shouldn't assume is that people read through if you have a page on your site that explains everything, you shouldn't assume they've read it, because most of the time they haven't. I look through everyone's pages when I do it, and because I'm mainly interested to see what they've included. That doesn't mean I'm reading everything, you know what I mean? Which I probably should, but I do read the emails, because I know, especially now, since I know how important they are and how much goes into doing them, and like really what's in there is helpful.
Yep.
And another thing with the emails is, if you're going to email people, and that's why I thought the Facebook group was great, is because I could just post something stupid in there, and it wasn't like it was annoying to anyone, because it's just on Facebook. Everything is stupid on, so I'd post something in the group with like a dumb, thing, like who's getting pumped type of thing, like a meme or like, a GIF or something. But the one thing that we really wanted to do was try to just have some personality in our emails and make it and not be overly professional in terms of the way we talked, because nobody cares in this, it's nobody. It's different than talking to your customers. These are your peers. And our goal, or not really goal, we just talked about like, let's just treat them like that. Let's type an email as if I'm typing it to somebody else I work with, because they're your partners. You call them your partners. You should treat them like a partner.
Sometimes you use all caps.
Yeah.
Sometimes you say something, you make a pun. Sometimes you say something kind of stupid.
Yeah. Sometimes you use a cuss
Have
word. You don't freak out about it, you know?
yeah, have a personality in your emails. Like that's like we always sign our emails. So like my signature recently on one of the emails I sent was, like normally you get like Matt McWilliams, JV director for Ray Edwards International. Like then my phone number, it was like JV director and hairstylist for Ray, and I probably got like, and the thing is Ray's bald, he's got like the side there, like he just need a hairstylist. I got like 15 responses to that email with like LOL at your signature, essentially saying the same thing. Well, I mean, I don't know statistically if that makes them any more likely, how much money that was worth. I have no metric for that. I do know that if they're happy and I made them smile today, that they are statistically more likely to mail.
Yeah.
I mean, let's just be honest. Like, that's not why I do it. I do it because life is short and I want to have fun with this. And if I can't let my personality come out in my emails, then I'm not going to do it.
Yeah. Your email doesn't need to be buttoned to the top. Like there's no point. Yeah, I completely agree. That's the same thing with jump prizes. It's just to make people smile. One other thing on the same, one other thing that we did that we actually got a lot of response on, it was good and it was helpful to us and the JV partners appreciated it, is a few weeks before the launch, or like 2 weeks before the launch, we were trying to decide, we were initially going to do a 12 payment plan as our payment plan. And then we had talked to some people who said, that's probably a bad idea. You should think about doing like a 6 payment plan. And then so we sent out, and that was after we had told people that we were doing a 12 payment plan during all these like phone calls we had with them. So we sent out an email with our rationale of why we're changing it. That. Yeah. And we got so many emails back of people being like, have you ever thought about doing this? Have you ever thought about upselling them to the full pay after they buy? And some of that was too late, but it was very cool because people were excited.
They were into it. Yeah.
Yeah. And people are invested. Good at this. There's a lot of people that are really good at this, that are better at certain things than you. And there's no reason that you not soak all that in if you can. You know what I mean? We had people sending me things. I was like, that is brilliant. I'm filing that away for something, So.
Well, Ryan, this has been amazing. First of all, thank you so much. And secondly, thank you again. First, thank you. Second, thank you. I mean, just being so generous, so open, and just so helpful. And I love the questions we got today. And again, click the buttons below, sign up for stuff, and look for their next launch, because I will tell you just from personal experience, it was awesome. Great for my people, and it will be for you. So, Thirdly, Ryan, thank you again.
All right. No, thanks for having me on. It was fun. I like talking about this thing. I don't do a ton of webinars because, that's Josh's thing. So, or not really webinars, talks like this. So I had a good time. It's nice to talk about it. And I was more than happy to come on with the amount of help you gave us pre-launch. I'm not just trying to say that because I'm talking to you right now. Like, you were a big help before the launch. Basically, when I talk to you about various things, you would say little things of like, okay, cool, I was thinking about that, but he said it just from the conversation. And it helped me out a lot of just kind of wrapping my head around things. So more than happy to help you out.
That's how this industry works. It's like, I believe I'm not one of those people who like, I have an industry secret, let me keep it to myself. I want everybody to be better at this, because I mean, selfishly, if like we're all better at this, it reflects better on me. And as the high tide rises, so do all the ships. So,
and it's a collaborative thing. It's not like you're giving away the secrets of like everyone's program that they're selling or everyone's business. You're just like making it people help other people better. You know what I mean? So,
you got it. Thank you again, buddy.
All right, no problem. Let me know if you need anything.